Okay, I'm back with another video. Uh, this video is part two, or it's for the second question, and it's regarding overhead calculations, overhead absorption rates. Now, we need to prepare. The idea of preparing an overhead budget is important because it's going to help us determine what the price of a cost is, what the price of our good or service is. For example, let's say I operate a furniture store. I manufacture furnitures, and I just started manufacturing furnitures. And a week later, or during the second week of my operation, let's say um, a person called and asked how much you guys cost, how much I cost uh, for a table, how much I charge for a table. Uh, so before I quote a price, I need to know if the price that I'm going to quote will be able to cover most of my expenses. Now, this is just for understanding sake. There actually in the market there are actually a lot of things uh, that happen. For example, not every firm starts off with profit, and usually firms start off by getting a lot of losses, then they break even, then they start making money. But this this is just a simplified idea. Let's say I just started manufacturing, uh, and a person called me and they asked for uh, how much I charge for a table. And ideally, I should be able to cover every cost that I incur. It might be labor cost, it might be direct costs, it might be direct material, direct labor, uh, and even overheads. So I can simply quantify labor and the other direct costs, but I cannot uh, correctly quantify uh, overheads. So I need to come up with a budget, uh, a budgeted plan whereby I guess it's not the actual overhead. It's hard to quantify overhead, so I have to uh, come up with uh, a budgeted calculation of my overhead. So unless I do that, like I can't just selling a product without knowing if I'm going to cover my losses, my costs is going to be very silly. So I can't and I cannot say we're going to start selling when this accounting year ends. That just doesn't make any sense either. So I have to come up with a budgeted plan, and that's what this question is about. Uh, so there are steps in calculating this problem. The first one is calculating OAR. The second one is calculating the price to be charged, which is the absorbed overhead. And then to check, we can revise it, the over under absorption, or we can check we can compare the absorbed overhead or the price that we charged with the actual bill we asked our customers to pay. So this is it. Now let's get started, right? And I've already prepared uh, the Excel sheet to calculate this. See, step one is OAR calculation. Step two is calculating the price that we're going to charge, basically the budgeted uh, uh, charge. The step three is revising the over under absorption, or comparing the actual bill with the price charged, or the OH, the overhead absorbed, or our budget. So let's start with this. So first, in the question, it says that in this department, or in here, uh, the budget is unallocated, apportioned, and reapportioned $780,000. $780,000. And for this, for Thai center, we have 173,400. $73,400. Then we have machine labor hours. That means machine hour for knits and labor hours for tie. So the machine hours here are 16,250, 16,250, and for tie it's 14,450. 14,450. Now the OAR is, we can get the OAR simply by dividing the apportioned, reapportioned, the allocated apportioned, that reapportioned budget to machine hours, and we get $48 per machine hours, and we can calculate the OAR for tie by dividing the allocated apportioned and reapportioned for tie divided by labor hours, and we get $12 per labor hour. Now that we have calculated the OAR, let's quickly plug in the OAR there. We can get the price we can get the price to charge by multiplying OAR with the activity level, and the activity level has been given, and it's 16,500 machine hours for knit center and 13,900 labor hours for ties center. So for knit center it's 16,500 hours. Obviously it's machine hours because we said machine hours here for knit center, and it's 13,900 hours for tie center. We know we're going to multiply it, so it's going to be the OAR multiplied by the activity level equals OAR times activity level. Now that we have calculated that, we can move on to the third step, which is the revision of over and under absorption. So the price we charged, let's quickly plug it in. This is the price we charged, or it's the overhead that is absorbed, and then we have the actual bill that we're going to that will be charged, the actual overhead. Let me clarify here. The actual overhead bill I will be, or my company, or the company in question, what's the name of the company? Vanguard Limited will be charged. So the data given is the company will be charged $805,000 here and $157,500 here. Let me check. 805,000 and 157,500. Yes, that's correct. Now that we calculated that, the result is we subtract 805, which is the actual bill that was charged, to the budgeted bill, and we get a negative point, and we'll a negative number, and I will come back to what that means. Again, and we got 9,300. Now here, like, we have one negative number, which shows that this shows that the price that we charged, or the overhead which was absorbed, or the budgeted overhead, is less than the actual overhead. This shows this negative number, or the fact that the price charged or the OH absorbed is less than the actual OH bill, shows that it is what? Under absorbed. And here, the price we charged was this, the OH absorbed, the budgeted one, but the actual bill is this. So we have a surplus, or a $9,300, and it's not a negative value. So this is over absorbed. So what does over and under absorption mean? Now, this clearly states that the company budgeted this amount, but the actual bill that came was this amount, $805,000. The first thing we understand is the budgeted and the actual. Let me go back here. The thing we understand is the actual and the budgeted overhead are actually different. So a company, in order to get closer to the actual bill, needs to take into account every information in order to create the budget and then make decision. So this is under absorbed, this is over absorbed, and from this result we understand that the budgeted and the actual bill are usually different. This is my second video.